Tonight on Reporting Scotland, warnings that more snow and ice will hit over the weekend. It comes as 3 hill walkers were rescued in the Cairngorms after getting into difficulty in the wind and snow.
We had about 20 people out on the hill able to get up to where the 3 of them were. Getting them sorted out, getting them warm enough to be able to basically then be able to walk back out to the vehicles.
Hospital admissions caused by flu have increased by 12% in a week, bringing concerns about winter pressures on the NHS. Also in tonight's programme, calls from Donald Trump to open up the North Sea and get rid of windmills.
Coming up in the sport, could a familiar face be returning to Celtic? The club are in talks to sign former player Kieran Tierney on a pre-contract deal from Arsenal.
Here I am, looking younger than I did 20 years ago, feeling younger and, connecting with people on a level that I never thought possible without drinking drugs.
And with many of us starting dry January, we hear about the benefits of sober clubbing. Hello, I'm Sally Magnus and welcome to Friday's programme. As temperatures plummet everywhere, there's a warning that Scotland could be hit with more snow and ice disruption this weekend. Amid the wintry conditions last night, 3 hill walkers had to be rescued from the Cairngorms, while a fleet of more than 70 gritters are being deployed on trunk roads across the country tonight. Network Rail says it's expecting heavy snow on some of its routes on Sunday and Monday. Here's Aileen Clark.
It was a long, hard night in dreadful conditions for Braemar Mountain Rescue Team, who headed for the northern end of the Larrig Grue in the Cairngorms. 3 walkers had found themselves in difficulties after nightfall and in plummeting temperatures.
The helicopter was able to ferry in about 4 loads of our team in from the south up to sort of into the lower part of the Larrig Grue, and they were then able to walk up to where the walkers were. Over the next kind of couple of hours, we had about 20 people out on the hill able to get up to where the 3 of them were. Getting them sorted out, getting them warm enough to be able to basically then be able to walk back out to the vehicles.
Plenty to bear in mind for others still keen to venture out into the hills this weekend in wintry conditions.
And it's appreciating, I guess, that as you go higher up and further into the hills, it will be really pretty unpleasant at this time of year, and you've got to be prepared for that.
The railways are still having some issues. They've managed to reopen the line between Perth and Inverness after flooding like this near Canusie. But they are still working on clearing the landslips from the line north of Inverness. Now, if you decided to take advantage of the dry, sunny weather today to come out for a walk, you will be well aware that it's very icy, dicey underfoot. And what you need to know is there's a lot more of this ice on the way.
Come here, baby. Yeah, good girl.
The Met Office ice warning no surprise to Jacob, out with his dog Lucy, who even with 4 paws was slipping.
I don't want to break my leg. My wife broke her leg slipping on ice 3 years ago. It's not funny.
He wasn't alone in Glasgow today.
A walk that would normally take us just half an hour is taking us about an hour and a half. It's just really quite treacherous underfoot.
More than ice to contend with in Aberdeenshire, here in West Hill, Arthur was busy clearing the snow, and more showers may well be on the way.
Well, I've been clearing the snow from a drive and the front door as well. I've done my neighbour's as well because he's elderly, and now I'm just about finished clearing the driveway. But yeah, it's tough. There's quite a lot of snow there.
At Cairngorm Mountain, the skiers are relying on man-made snow at the moment, but there was optimism the next weather front coming in might benefit the slopes.
I've been looking forward to it all year, you know.
Yeah, we've been waiting a while because pretty much as soon as we got the boards, just waiting for the day. Yeah. And it's the forecast is looking good, so we're hoping to get right up the top within the next week.
Aileen Clark, Reporting Scotland.
Hospital admissions caused by flu have increased by 12% in the past week. Public Health Scotland's urging everyone who's eligible for vaccination to get a jab. Our reporter Katie Hunter joins me now. Katie, flu in winter is not uncommon. Do we know, though, why rates have increased so dramatically this year?
Sally, Public Health Scotland are making the point that flu is unpredictable from year to year, but they do say that this year rates are particularly high. And the number of people in hospital because of flu has risen from 1,375 up to 1,537 in a week. And as you touched on, that's a rise of 12%. And that's at a time, obviously, when the NHS is really busy because we're in the middle of winter. Now, health experts are reminding people that flu can lead to severe illness, particularly for vulnerable groups, so that's older people or younger people with underlying health conditions. And Public Health Scotland says that despite vaccination offering the best protection, that 2/3 of people under the age of 65 who are eligible for the vaccination haven't had one. So that vaccination rate is lower than they would like. And I was speaking to Public Health Scotland earlier, and they were keen to really emphasise some key points. They're asking anyone who feels unwell, has a fever, to stay at home, not to visit people in hospital if you've got cold or flu symptoms, to cover your mouth and nose when sneezing and coughing, and to wash your hands. And of course, finally, if you are eligible for vaccination, to go and get one.
Katie, thank you very much indeed. I've got it myself. Some of the day's other stories now. A woman who died in a hit-and-run incident in Renfrewshire on New Year's Eve has been named. 70-year-old Elizabeth Kennedy died at the scene after being struck by a white car that failed to stop. It happened around 7 p.m. on Barhead Road, just east of the junction with Ladykirk Crescent. The UK's first consumption room for illegal drugs, including heroin and cocaine, will open in Glasgow this month. The facility on Hunter Street will allow people to take substances under the supervision of clinicians from the 13th of January. It had been due to open in October, but was pushed back while checks were carried out on the building's water and ventilation systems. Ross County is investigating the racial abuse of goalkeeper Jordan Amisa after the club's 2-1 win away to Aberdeen. The 23-year-old German, who's of Ghanaian descent, shared an image on social media of racial slurs that he received from an anonymous account. Whisky is one of Scotland's most successful exports, but among the many challenges facing the industry at the moment, climate change is looming ever larger. Now distilleries and producers are responding to the threat it poses with an emphasis on water usage and the kind of barley being used. Ian Hamilton reports.
Is Scotland's whisky industry future-proofed? Distillers know they're not immune to a changing climate. Here at Glengoyne, they've long been aware of the need to innovate.
What's in front of us is our 2 distillations. We're very energy intensive, Ian. We still are, because you're heating up all the time, heating up and cooling down. It costs a lot of money to heat water, it costs a lot of money to cool down liquids. So the industry is really focused front and centre on sustainability.
For every step of the process, it's all about the water.
We can bring in technology at the distilleries which enables to use less water, but the farmer, he can't make it rain. So really the big issue, I think, is probably more at the very beginning of the process in the field.
Barley is pretty resilient, but scientists in Scotland are looking to make more robust strains.
You can feel the head there, and you can feel the awns, this is just before flowering, and at some point we'll be able to cross these with each other. You need to have a variety that can cope with extremes in stress, so it can go from being droughted in one condition to later in the season being waterlogged, as we've seen in, like last year, for example, it was very dry in spring and then became very wet towards the end of the year.
So you put your fermented liquid in here, you heat it, and
here at Heriot-Watt University is where they train the distillers of the future.
The biggest challenges, even in Scotland, are energy and water. Production of whisky has a very large water footprint, so it's making sure that we use the water in the best way possible.
Back at the distillery, Robbie has created a wetland to naturally clean wastewater.
It takes about 3 days for this liquid to meander its way through all of these different wetlands, so by the time we get to the very bottom of the process, it's as clear as looking at water.
This is the outlet for the wetlands, Ian.
If I was to hold up that and a bottle of water side by side, I think you'd probably be struggling to tell one of the parts. I mean, that's actually crystal clear.
This is all about protecting one of Scotland's major industries and ensuring there's no parting glass for one of our major exports, Ian Hamilton, reporting Scotland.
Just over 2 weeks before Donald Trump is back in the White House, the North Sea has become the focus of his attention. He's warned the UK government that it's making a big mistake with its energy company windfall tax and called on it to open up the North Sea. Our political correspondent Andrew Kerr is with me now. Andrew, we're familiar with Donald Trump's thinking on offshore wind from last time round. What's he saying now?
Yes, Sally, it's a very short post on the site Truth Social. The full statement is the UK is making a very big mistake. Open up the North Sea, get rid of windmills. By windmills, he means wind turbines on the northeast coast, and he's got long history there. Back in 2011, he complained that wind turbines would spoil the view from his golf course near Balmedy. Now, Mr. Trump was posting today in a response to a report that a US company would be pulling out of the North Sea by 2029. And as president, he's promising to halt US offshore projects on day one, and he's promising to halt other aspects of green transition as well.
So has the UK government had anything to say about this?
Well, I spoke to the UK government really first thing this morning about the comments. They are aware of the comments, and I was expecting to have received a response by this time tonight. The UK does have a target to decarbonise its power sector by 2030. Now, Donald Trump will become the most powerful man in the world once again on the 20th of January. He's got long-standing interests in the UK. His comments do carry weight once again, so he is in a position to set the agenda, and maybe some voters on this side of the Atlantic might be listening to him as well. A challenge for the UK government.
Indeed. Thank you very much indeed, Andrew Kerr. Scotland's only time ball has been a feature of the Edinburgh skyline for 170 years. From its vantage point on top of the city's Calton Hill, it helped ships to set their clocks for safe navigation. Now it's away being given a new lease of life for the 21st century, as Morag Kinneborough reports.
Look at the actual ball from the time ball itself.
Oh wow.
It's bigger than it looks from the ground.
Edinburgh's time ball rests in a Cumbrian workshop, no longer an essential timepiece.
You can see here that the zinc here was splitting at the top, so that was letting water inside. Most of it's all right. There is a few
redundant for navigation now, but it's not being retired.
But that we're going to make good before sealing it back up. There's not many time balls left in the UK anymore. In fact, this is the only one left in Scotland. There are a few. There's one at famous one at Greenwich. But they were important, they were very important for marine timekeeping, and it's nice to keep that alive.
For around 170 years, the time ball dropped daily at 1 o'clock, a signal to ships to set clocks for safe navigation. The 1 o'clock gun added later for foggy days. Timepiece experts in England are restoring this and other mechanisms. They're modernising while retaining authenticity.
We're working with a mechanism dating from 1853, and this was wound up by hand every day. And what we've got to do is to keep all the historical importance of this, because there's not a single one left which is still hand wound in this country. So, but we've got to bring this into the 21st century and making it automatic.
The time ball's been repaired before. Storms caused thousands of pounds of damage.
Time balls are inextricably linked to navigation, and with this they were letting captains of ships be able to set the chronometers to precise time so they could navigate across the oceans, across the Atlantic to the other side of the world. And without objects like this and without the chronometer, we don't have navigation. If we don't have navigation, we don't go to Mars or anywhere else into the universe in the future.
If the restoration runs smoothly, the time ball will return to Scotland in the spring. Morag Kinneborough, reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
Let's get tonight's sport now. What you got for us, Lewis?
Well, it's January, Sally, so you know what that means. Your favourite transfer news beginning already, absolutely. Thanks very much, Sally. Hello there, yes. Well, some potentially huge transfer news for Celtic, who are in talks with Arsenal about signing former player Kieran Tierney on a pre-contract deal. The 27-year-old left Celtic in 2019 for a reported £25 million fee, but Arsenal are ready to let him leave at the end of his contract, which has another 6 months to run. It remains unclear whether the London club will allow Tierney to go on loan in January before making any move permanent in the summer. Now, the SPFL has joined both Rangers and Celtic in condemning the coin throwing from the home support at yesterday's Old Firm clash, saying it was idiotic and unacceptable, and they've asked for any witnesses to come forward. Celtic midfielder Arnie Engels was struck by a coin during his side's 3-0 defeat at Ibrox, with police also investigating another incident. Today, a spokesperson for the league's governing body said the dangers of so-called supporters throwing such items onto the pitch are obvious, and anyone found guilty of such disgraceful conduct must be dealt with severely by the courts, including the imposition of football banning orders. Well, on the pitch, it was a great start to the year for Rangers, and manager Philippe Clement has urged his team to build on their first win over Celtic in 7 attempts. While the manner of the Ibrox team's victory may even have surprised many of their own fans, Clement says he knew his players were capable of turning in such a dominant performance.
I felt it before also, that it was possible if we do the right things. So we need to continue working on that and creating a culture, and also creating the physicality, the mental strength to do that every 3 days. So there are a lot of young players who didn't do that before in their career. That's my job for the coming of months, to get it in all the heads.
I just thought Rangers were the better team today. We lacked an edge in our game, with the ball, without the ball, and it has been very unlike us. The game today is a disappointment. The bigger picture, it's now 19 games, we're halfway through the season, we're 11 points clear. I'm not sure whether that 14 points, whether that took away edge off. It shouldn't, but maybe subconsciously it can do. But overall, we didn't play well today. Rangers deserved to win, and now we get ready for the weekend.
Dundee United boss Jim Goodwin says they'll do all they can to keep Derby hero Sam Dalby, but admits they expect to have plenty of competition. Simon Murray had given Dundee the lead from the spot in the second half at Dens Park yesterday, but that didn't last long, with Vichko Sevelier equalising just 4 minutes later. It was yet another late goal for United, this time from on loan Wrexham striker Dalby, with his 10th of the season, to secure all 3 points for the Tannadice side.
We're not going to put the boy under any pressure. I think as far as the Dundee United perspective is, we should enjoy him while we have him. The fact of the matter is he's top goal scorer in the Premiership. He's out of contract in the summer, and I'm pretty sure there'll be a hell of a lot of suitors taking notice now. But I'm delighted for what he's doing for us. I don't want any distractions for the boy. I just want him to focus on playing for Dundee United, and we'll do all we can in the summer to see if we can be at the table.
Hearts boss Neil Critchley hopes to add new faces to his squad in the January transfer window as the club looks to move away from the Premiership relegation zone. A 1-0 victory over Motherwell yesterday was just their 5th win of the league campaign, Moussa Drama with the all-important goal. And the home side then required a dramatic last-gasp save from goalkeeper Craig Gordon to secure the 3 points. Head coach Critchley says there's a lot of work to be done.
We're working incredibly hard behind the scenes. There's areas of the pitch that we need to strengthen. Because we've got work to do at this football club. We've got work to do on and off the pitch. We're not going to solve everything in one window, but what we want to do is try and keep progressing and moving forward. And January is an important month for us.
Now let's take a look at how yesterday's results affect the league table. Rangers are now 11 points behind Celtic at the top, while United have overtaken Aberdeen to move into 3rd place on goal difference after the Dons' defeat to Ross County. At the other end, St Johnstone are now 5 points adrift, and Hibs, with a run of 4 wins and a draw, are just 2 points off the top 6. Well, as we saw earlier in the programme, Scotland is in the grip of a cold snap, and it's resulted in this evening's championship match between Airdrieonians and Falkirk being called off. A pitch inspection by the referee at 5:30 deemed the artificial surface at Airdrie's ground to be too hazardous for the game to go ahead. League leaders Falkirk are unhappy at the late call-off and didn't wish to be interviewed, but the referee and Airdrie player manager gave us their reactions to the events.
It was very clear that there was a lot of packed ice under the surface. The club have been trying to clear that with salt, but
For me, player safety is the key criteria that I was looking at, and although the ball can roll and there's no issues with the ball rolling, I was very worried about player safety from a player falling or going in for a slide tackle, because that ground is really hard with the packed ice. So ultimately that's what's affected my decision to call the game off.
This time, obviously, being kind of so close to everybody arriving and whatnot, just gives you that headache having to reschedule a game. So it's not ideal, but again, the kind of circumstances in the pitch just now is obviously deemed no playable.
So no live action on the telly, unfortunately, Sally.
OK, thanks very much. Now tell me this, are your clubbing days over yet?
I'm just past them, I think, now, Sally. I feel them all too much now.
Well, you might be exactly the right candidate for this then.
Oh, do tell.
A sober clubbing event in Glasgow, which sounds a bit like an oxymoron, but since launching in 2021, Good Clean Fun has been running regular nights that include meditation, hot food, soft drinks and guest DJs. We've been to find out more.
People that can't drink safely, like we want and deserve and desire a night that's just a high standard as like a standard club night. The way that you would usually relax is like by having a couple of like pre-drinks to calm the nerves before you go out, and we were trying to think of a way to get people into that state where they're relaxed but energised and open, but without the alcohol and the substances, and that's why this meditation hour is so important.
It's the best atmosphere I've experienced since the early house clubs of the late 80s and early 90s, you know, just for the atmosphere and vibe and that togetherness and connection. There is a little bit of warm-up, but not as much as I would normally play in a regular club, because people just want to go on the dance floor straight away. As soon as the meditation's done, you know, people are quite energised and they're ready to go.
I've went to kind of recovery events that are in like a kind of stale hall with like not much thought put into the sound system, food, drinks, and I thought like we deserve better than this. There's people that come to the nights that aren't in recovery and they're like choosing to come to this night. People with issues with alcohol are socialising with people that have never had issues, and like we believe very strongly that that's like a really positive, good thing, and there's no reason why that shouldn't happen.
I would not be alive if I was still doing the things I was doing. I absolutely 100% know that. But here I am, looking younger than I did 20 years ago, feeling younger, and you know, connecting with people on a level that I never thought possible without drinking drugs. But say if you have a problem and you want to stop, but you feel you can't, but you still want to go clubbing, and you don't want to feel that you have to go to certain clubs, that you have to take certain things just to be part of, then there's an alternative, and we're that.
Now, there's a growing body of evidence that our relationship with animals can make us feel better. And one centre near Inverness is focusing on the therapeutic benefits of this. Ailey Davis has more.
Pre-Christmas down at the Highland Therapeutic Animal Centre. But the more than 40 animals here also play an important part in providing therapy sessions for health and well-being for many people, including those with conditions like dementia, supported needs and mental health. Today, this group of pupils with additional needs from Inverness Royal Academy are visiting.
We come here to help out with the ponies and the donkeys, and what else do? We take it down to the beach, very nice, and just be in nature.
First of all, just tell me what you like about coming here and seeing all the animals.
They're amazing.
They're amazing. And what's your favourite animal?
Donkeys.
Tell me about what it is that you like about coming along here.
It's fun. It's okay. Be walking to the pony in the forest.
Interaction with the animals has had a big impact on the youngsters. Sandy, who established the centre, believes it fulfills an important purpose.
We need this. We need the animals for therapy, because I see so many children and adults and mental health that it breaks my heart that there's not enough out there for them. And if I can do or just save one person, that's what I want to do.
It's the end of another successful day. The children clearly seem to enjoy themselves, and I think the animals did too. There's only one thing left to say. Happy New Year! Ailey Davis reporting Scotland, Inverness.
Right, Callum, tell us what we need to know about the snow and ice this weekend.
Staying icy cold for the foreseeable and potential for some widespread snow into areas such as the Scottish borders. Yes, hello there folks. Well, it's still bitterly cold out there. Fresh snows into the north and northeast with that gusty northwesterly wind making it feel raw, but elsewhere some lovely winter sunshine, but icy cold. That ice becoming extensive tonight. Here's a Met Office countrywide yellow warning for widespread ice, black ice, slippery surfaces. Do take care out there on untreated surfaces. So it's clear out there, sub-zero, maybe a chance of the meteor shower, but not for long. These showers on the west coast with a westerly breeze will advect their way inland. Where they come inland, falling as sleet and snow, further accumulations. Plain old rain towards the less cold west coast and Hebrides. Widely sub-zero elsewhere. Frost, ice, maybe -6 in a few spots. The odd freezing fog patch too. Tomorrow, a more slack pressure pattern. This front threatening some showery rain into the north. Elsewhere, some coastal showers, but dry for most of us. Where those showers occur, around coastal areas, there'll be mainly of rain to sea level tomorrow, a slight rise in the freezing level. Still snow in the higher ground though, and more cloud coming in this maritime westerly to western areas. Best of the winter sunshine, the further east and northeast you go, but afternoon an extensive upper veil of cloud will spread up from the south. There's the numbers, 2 to 4 towns and cities. Maybe some Highland glens not getting above zero. By afternoon, the best of the afternoon sunshine, Murray, Aberdeenshire, Caithness, that front threatening showery rain to the Northern Isles. Still cold air for Shetland, so sleet and snow. If you're heading to the mountains Saturday, well, you will need winter gear, essential. Crampons too, extensive cloud cover, frozen from Glens to the tops. Also extensive hill fog, western ranges more broken in the east with the best of the brighter breaks. Then for Sunday, extensive blowing snow in across the southern highlands. Uncertainty how far it drifts north, but certainly by the end of the day it could get well into the Cairngorms. Heavy snow showers, driest in across northwestern ranges. There's the culprit, this area of low pressure. Uncertainty how far it goes north and thus the snow extent itself. But it does look as though southern Scotland, that's the greatest risk. This is the latest Met Office warning. I expect this to be fine-tuned into tomorrow. Greatest risk the further south and east as you go in this warning through Sunday into Monday for those widespread snows. There it is Sunday morning, piling in across South Lanarkshire, southern uplands, mainly just rain towards the east coast, but 20 centimetres distinctly possible, some of the uplands across southern Scotland, blowing around too in a gusty easterly wind through the day, extending into some central and northeastern parts. Driest in the northwest Highlands, where you'll wonder what all the fuss is about. Staying cold next week. Sally.
Thanks very much indeed, Callum. Laura McKeever will be here with your late news around 10:30 tonight. But until then, from everyone in the team, enjoy your evening. Bye-bye.